Happy Friday, everyone. Running through water. Took some time off this week. I'm traveling with my family. So I'm here to remind you again, even though the bill is hanging by a thread, to call your senators. You still have time to call, write, email, leave them a voicemail. Before Monday, when they're back in session, they will probably be voting on this horrible health care bill, which will also repeal ACA, but bigger than that, it is going to slash Medicaid, and it's going to be bad. And we cannot let this happen, guys. So call them, write them, text them, vote no, tell them to vote no. And even if Medicaid, you don't believe Medicaid affects you in any way, it's going to affect the most vulnerable people in our society if they cut it the way they're going to cut it, and it's going to be ugly for all of society. So I'm here to remind you about how cutting Medicaid to this degree actually would affect you. A lot of people don't know that when you have insurance, health insurance pays first behind your Medicaid or Medicaid waiver. Once there's been a denial of benefits, which a lot of times there are, because, you know, let's face it, insurance is expensive and they're going to leave out the outliers. So there's going to be a lot of things left over. It also helps pay for things like co-payments and co-insurance. So let me tell you a little story about A2. When he was 2 years old, he phased out all solid foods. He was drinking Pediasure only. He seemed to feel a lot better. He started growing a little bit, but he was still vomiting 3 to 5 times a day. We went to a lot of doctors. No one could really tell us. We finally went to a doctor who said, you know, I think he can't digest the protein in dairy, and I think that's why he's still having so much trouble with the Pediasure. And she recommended this stuff, which I won't show you completely. It's an elemental formula, essentially. And when we saw how much it cost a can, we were mortified. At that point, we didn't have a Medicaid waiver. And at that point, our insurance was a little different than it is today. It's taking care of its fair share of it. However, this is food. Health insurance didn't want to pay for food. However, if we stopped giving him the Pediasure that he was drinking and he started starving and he needed a feeding tube, insurance would probably pay for the surgery to have a feeding tube placed and then pay for this to put down the feeding tube. So what would have happened? A simple fix of just paying for this or helping to pay for this, as it does now, would have cost the company thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, if not even more than that, if there were complications or infections or anything along those lines. So that would have jacked up the price of his company's premiums, which would mean that the people who work for that company would bear the burden in smaller amounts than we do if we spread it out over everyone. And that is one way that the Medicaid cuts would affect you significantly. Hope you all have a wonderful Friday. You've got to see this. Oh, it's lovely. Happy Friday, everyone. Don't forget to call.